This is problems 4, 5, and 6 from homework worksheet H1-5. Again, like the previous problems, we are finding the slope given 2 points. Starting with number 4, we have the point 1/2, -2, and the point 0, -4. And if you're more comfortable seeing decimals, since that's a terminating decimal, you can go ahead and change that to 0.5, -2 if you want to. You don't have to do that. I just want to make sure you're comfortable doing it whatever way you want there. Let's set it up as the difference between our y's. And you'll see me always draw these arrows in here. That's just to make sure that I don't make mistakes. It's, I don't have to do it, but I choose to do that. I'm not requiring you to do it, but you may want to choose to do it to help prevent mistakes as well. So I'm going to say -4 minus a -2. I would highly advise you to write down what you're doing here, at least in the setup, so you don't accidentally forget a negative sign or turn a negative into the minus and forget that there's a second one there. And then we're going to do 0 minus either 0.5 or 1/2, whichever way you choose to do it. I'll just go ahead and do 0.5 for this one. Now, if I have -4 minus a -2, we know that's like adding 2. That's going to give us a -2 on the top. And on the bottom, 0 minus a half is still a half on the bottom. Now, whether you have -2 over -0.5 or you have -2 over -1/2 if you kept it as a fraction, either way, we can't leave fractions or decimals in our overall fraction. So we're going to need to change that there. So in order to do this here, let's think about it. First of all, right, if I'm going to be finding my slope, I know that if I have a negative over a negative, we're going to end up with a positive answer. What would I have to multiply 1/2 by to make it a whole? Right? Shouldn't that be 2? I need to multiply the bottom by 2 to make it a 1. But if I do that to the bottom, I must also do it to the top. Because remember, this is like a value of 1 when I multiply by 2 over 2. And when I do that there, I should end up with 2 times 2 is going to give me 4. And 2 times a half gives me 1. So my slope looks like it's going to end up being just 4. Okay, or 4 over 1 is fine. You get the same thing here if you did that to the fraction version, right? 2 times a half is going to be 1, and then 2 times 2 is 4. So you see it, get the same thing. All right, let's jump into number 5. Number 5 says we have the point 0.5, 2.4, and we have 1.5, -0.6. So when we look at these all have a number in the tenths place. You know, one thing we could do to this here is let's just set it up first. We're going to say here that we're going to have a -0.6 minus 2.4 and a 1.5 minus a 0.5. Or maybe you wanted to do 2.4 minus a -0.6 and then do 0.5 minus 1.5 going the other direction. That's fine too, just as long as you're consistent. I'm going to do it the way I started doing it, -0.6 minus 2.4. And in our denominator, we're going to have 1.5 minus 0.5. -0.6 minus 2.4 is going to give us a -3. And in our denominator, 1.5 minus a half is going to be just 1. So our slope ends up being just -3. Last but not least, number 6, we have the point AB. We have the point -B, -A. And what they're telling us here, since we don't know the values of those, that A cannot equal -B. So sometimes that confuses students. The reason they're putting that in here is because if A equaled -B, okay, if I took that there and I put in, for my A, I put in a -B, I would have had here, so think about this A. If this was really -B, and I had -B, B, and then I had -B, comma, -A, well, in our denominator, we would have a -B minus a -B. So something minus itself, oops, sorry, get off there, which is going to give us 0, right? But we can't ever have 0 in our denominator. So we definitely have a slope here. So they're saying that there's no chance that A is going to equal the opposite of B there, because that would give us an undefined answer. So, really what we're going to do then here is we're not substituting in. They're telling us that A cannot equal negative B. So we're going to take it here and just set it up and do it the same way. Let's do negative A minus B on the top. And then we're going to do negative B minus A on the bottom. Now we can't combine like terms, but we can look to try to simplify here, or write it in a way that will help us to simplify. So if I have a negative A minus B on the top, if I look at the bottom, I have my B first. Let's switch it here, right? When I subtract A, that's the same thing as saying a negative A. And then if I add that negative B here, it's like minus B. So what we're really looking at here are the exact same things on the top and the bottom, which mean that, this is the same as this. If I divide something by itself, we get 1. So our slope for number 6 is going to be 1. If you have additional questions about 4, 5, or 6, or you need some additional explanation, please reach out to me and I will help you to understand. Thanks for watching.